happy week going after Christmas and towards New Year's where the points are made up. Nope.
No.
Where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome back to...
We can start that way. You okay?
Oh, man. And Happy New Year. Okay, so we're back.
We're back.
We're back at Seth's house.
Yeah. I hope you guys had a good holiday, if you do celebrate Christmas. But we wanted to get on here today.
Not for those that celebrate Hanukkah who have also passed their holiday.
Well, yeah, isn't Hanukkah earlier in December?
I'm sorry, I'm not Jewish.
Now that we have launched and we've had a few episodes, we want to remind you all what MillenniUP is, why we're doing this.
It's our yearly recap, really.
Yeah, it's our yearly recap, although it's only been a few months. So we appreciate everyone listening. Smash that subscribe button and go to YouTube to watch the video if you're not watching it there. But let's talk about it real quick. I don't think we actually ever told anyone like the actual lineage of the...
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you say it's
how
only
this
been
all kind of came to be. Who had the idea? Who went?
I know you're going to freaking fight me on...
I'm going to fight you on who had the idea.
Okay, now listen. So first of all, you said it's only been a couple months, but actually everybody has only seen it for just a couple months.
Yeah.
We have been doing this since February 10th.
Last year, I wrote out a...
No, you asked me to start. So whose idea was it? It was mine. You're going to say, no, it was mine. Here's what happened. And I have receipts for this. And I screenshotted me going to Seth. And I initially went to two of my other friends on the team and said, I have a brilliant idea. I had MillenniUP previously. So it was originally a blog for a teammate of mine. We were going to bring on another friend of mine who was going to be joining the team. It was still the same concept of, real estate solutions for millennials and, bring that relatability. So same general concept, just with somebody else. And it was just kind of a blog thing. We're going to send it out more of like a mailer marketing kind of thing. But then I had this idea in February. I was like, this would make so much more sense as a podcast. Like, our generation, like us millennials and sure, Gen Xers, but I was focusing more towards millennials as we do MillenniUP. We'd rather hear the information than have to go read it. And we'd rather either
this is where everyone is. I mean, people are listening to this stuff and they're not going to a website or a blog as nearly as much.
And it made more sense as a brand to just do it through a podcast. So I had that conversation with them. They couldn't have been less interested in doing it. They said, I so much don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't launch it with them because I think it would have been harder to launch.
That's fine. But I was like, oh my gosh, well, okay, cool opinion. I still think this is way too good of an idea to not do. So I was like, I still want to make this happen. Okay. So I immediately then hang up the phone and go to Seth. And I said, Seth, I have a brilliant idea. Just wait till you hear it. And you said, what is that? I said, I want to make MillenniUP a podcast.
Yeah.
And you did say...
Did you crop my response off the bottom of that?
We're going to find out. No, I didn't crop anything yet. But you did say, that's funny you mentioned that. I actually had been thinking that I wanted to do a podcast also. But you didn't bring it to me. I came to you and said, let's do a podcast.
I had a podcast. It's really actually funny how it works out. And if Jen wants to try it out, or one of her cliches, everything does happen for a reason, I guess. Because or the universe was listening because I wanted by Q4 of 2023 to have at least the inner workings and the structure and design to launch a podcast for 2024. And so it was funny that you came to me because I wrote that in my media plan for last year. Like this time last year, I was talking about my marketing, matrix. So it was funny because, then it was about 2 months later, you came to me and said, hey, let's make MillenniUP into a podcast. And then I started thinking, well, maybe we can marry our two ideas. Instead of both of us having our own podcast, why don't we get married here and try to collaborate? I think it's going okay. I think it's going okay.
I'd say it's going great. So I think it worked out the way it needed to.
So listen, can we once and for all just admit that we co-found this?
Sure, we can say that we co-found it, but I came to you to actually do it.
Co-conceived.
You were going to do it on your own. I came to you to do this together. So you're all welcome. And also, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, listen, since we didn't settle that, let's move on.
So February, the idea was born.
Well, we can continue to banter about this all through 2024, and we'll settle this at some point. But
sure. You just heard both sides of the story. You tell me whose idea it was. So regardless, February, this conversation started. And then we started interviewing people
podcast.
We also know where our strengths lie.
Yeah,
and
we
it
know
is not in producing this ourselves.
That's absolutely right. So we
did agree on something, and it was we cannot.
How many companies did we had? 3?
No, more than that.
4?
5?
There were a couple where I'm like, wow, that guy really needs to do something different. Like as I said, this guy is obviously like a sound engineer and not a salesperson.
I was falling asleep during. There was that one. I'm like,
I know.
Ugh. So,
and it's hard because as realtors, we're salespeople, and it's like so to sell to a salesman, it's always a little more difficult. And like I remember just like saying to you, like going off screen and being like, how is this guy even a salesperson? Like how does this guy feed himself?
We had probably interviewed about 5 or so companies. I researched a lot of them. We did narrow it down to 2 of them.
Yep.
We then had a summer hiatus from that because then both of our businesses just
exploded.
Picked up. Yeah, it was just like the spring and summer just real estate boom as it does. And so we were kind of taking a backseat on continuing on with that and sending out some answers. And then we were able to kind of like refocus. And we did move forward with the company that we did in August-ish. And then it was a 90-day startup, and that's when we had to say, so what kind of camera do we get? Seth had a bunch of the equipment from his last podcast that he used to do, but not nearly as entertaining.
It's not nearly as entertaining.
It didn't have it, Jen.
It did not have Jenn and Seth in it, that's for sure. Sorry, Ryan and Andrew. It was quite a process, guys, getting this thing up and running, and we're so happy we did it. There's a lot that goes into this.
And we got so excited when we finally figured out where to record it, too. That was a big delay. Like, well, where do we record? And we try to think of everything. Or like, do we even rent a space just to do it? And then I one day just in like the middle of the night was like, oh my God, the Airbnb.
No. I remember we were having, and you're like, wait, I have an idea.
Was that your idea too?
No. You said, wait, I have an idea. ... And then I'm like, okay, because we were wondering where the hell we were going to do this. And you're like, what about that Airbnb? I had to build that
anticipation because I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, it's like, where do we do it? Airbnb. And that's
right next to the office.
If you watch us on YouTube, which you should do to get the full MillenniUP effect.
Have it on while you're cooking.
That was the brick wall setting. We are now in another town.
It was good in theory.
But the Airbnb booked up for most of the month, so we are back here. I'm digging the new spot. So we're going to talk a little bit now just real quick about what we want to have happen.
Yeah.
Again, why we're doing this.
Yeah.
We know that when this is released, it's going to be the week between Christmas and New Year's.
We won't bore you to tears busy. And talking about ourselves and droning on.
This is about getting as much good information out into the ether as possible. You do this business long enough, you realize that there's a lot of misconceptions, and it's not just among millennials and Gen Zers. There's boomers who have outdated information. They are giving that information downstream. Boomers and so we want this podcast, guys, to be a conduit for you to engage us. We're on Instagram, and it's at MillenniUP Podcast. 2P double L double P. Double L double N.
So many double letters. Double L, double N, double P.
That's right.
If you don't know, there's 2. Just like my name, Jen, 2 N's. MillenniUP, 2 N's.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, guys, we want this to be a place where you can come and ask questions. You do not have to be in the Philadelphia area. This is about getting good information out to as many people across the country as well. We're going to stay in our lane. We are licensed in Pennsylvania. We're not going to give you real estate advice specific to your state, but you'll find that we're not talking about stuff that's specific to our state. This is just good general knowledge.
Well, and like I said, too, when we in our very first episode, we talked about why we wanted to do this. It's important for millennials to have good guidance because, like you said, there's a lot of information being passed down from the other generations, and then here we are, just the millennials out in the world, kind of just like aimlessly wandering, just doing our best, figuring it out, and you fake it till you make it. But there are some things where you shouldn't have to figure things out on your own. That there are resources, and this didn't exist. And we wanted it to. And the reason why we had the timeline to launch before the end of the year, actually, the goal was to launch in October, but we just had a little bit of a hold back over the summer. But we didn't do too bad getting out by November so that we could still work out the kinks and kind of like get our footings into everything. I think we've accomplished that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really what I had said to you at the very beginning was I want this to be a real estate podcast, but I don't want it to go to the people who are necessarily like specifically looking up real estate as much as it is. I want millennials to find it and then be able to start thinking about real estate. We're always going to be learning and we're always going to be working out different kinks, and that's fine. But I think we're going to continue to get better and better. I mean, we are who we are. But I think that I want to continue with hitting more millennials to get them to start thinking about real estate when they would not have otherwise, and continue that through the next year.
Yeah. And we also, just as hosts, we want to start putting out more content. I think we're hoping to get out 2 episodes a week by June.
Yeah, we have our kind of scheduled out for the first few months or so.
Which means we are going to need topics. And so we want to hear from you. Anything that you got, anything that you're curious about, we can usually come up with a topic, even just from the simplest question.
We have a massive list and spreadsheet of pure chaos with a ton of topics that we had considered covering and everything. But to be honest, more that we're putting out videos and covering topics and kind of seeing what the feedback is on it, those are kind of starting to change. We want to adapt to what people actually want to watch and listen to. And not
it's like
too much.
It's like anything else. I want to put stuff out that people want to hear about.
It's easy to get sucked into this, our job as realtors
and what we think is interesting. Now, I think we've done a pretty good job so far, but real estate is transient, guys. It moves. It's different. There's things that come up. People are always asking us about interest rates, which are changing every day, and market conditions and that type of stuff. So we really want to hear what's on your mind.
It's like, do you care? Do you care about because one of our best performing things is, millennials versus Gen Xers.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want more millennial content very specifically and directly, or do you want to know how to take care of your house on a regular basis and how to maintain?
Or how about like lending advice or financial stuff, or, budgeting, things of that nature. I mean, I'm sure Jen would attest, if you want to start talking about, larger picture, like generational stuff, college, student loan debt, that type of stuff, we are happy to go into that type of stuff. So, we wanted to take this episode as an opportunity just to, hit the pause and definitely
reflect on kind of where we started,
reflect on where we are, and then kind of let you know where we want this to head. And if we get feedback, it's like, yeah, we like this, but we don't like that, or you guys are way off, like, please just let us know. We created this to be a resource for all of you. And this is not our full-time job, as we mentioned before. This is something that we're just doing in our part-time, very, very, very much part-time. Jen and I are both, very busy realtors outside of Philly, but we like this part of the business, which is teaching people, and we bring that to our businesses and guide people through the process. And now we were just like, well, hey, why don't we just grab a couple microphones and get it out to the masses?
Yeah, but neither of us are afraid of work and having a workload, So it's like, while we want to grow MillenniUP, the podcast, but we want to grow MillenniUP, the brand, like big time. But while still, we both have a passion for real estate. So I think we can kind of go into what we foresee 2024 being and beyond. But I mean, at least like we've agreed on this one. Oh my God, Jen and Seth agreed on something. If it's our goals for the podcast and our business, I would really hope that we're aligning.
That's good.
We can disagree on candle scents.
That's a wrap for 2023, guys. We'll see you. No.
Goodbye. Yeah. And on a high note, we love being realtors, and we want to continue to be able to grow our real estate business and our client books and be able to still provide as much support to people as possible and see people achieving their goals. That's really why I'm in real estate, is be able to help people get to their goals and give good guidance and have somebody out there that I know can actually help others. But it's also parallels with the intention of this podcast. So we want to grow both of them to be able to impact the most amount of people. Yeah. So if that's that MillenniUP ends up growing into a bigger brand where we're, through the entire country, and
and also I would say if we grow this brand out to be something where we're offering webinars, seminars, things to people as resources to help them in their real estate journey. This year we're hoping to have past clients on so you can learn from them. We're hoping to have professionals on, because with this second episode per week, we can have a lot more opportunity to talk to people outside, so you don't just have to listen to us.
And the important thing too is that we want to stay relevant. So, while still doing all of these things, nobody likes to listen from somebody who is not actually active in what they're talking about.
A lot of experts out there, not a lot of expertise.
Yeah. So we really want to go into 2024 with being able to expand and grow MillenniUP, both as a podcast and a brand, really big, while also using that to grow our real estate businesses and help as many people as we can.
I'm excited for 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. And next episode, we're going to talk about
your goals.
Yeah, your goals. That's
Those
right.
Are our goals. Now we're going to go into your goals.
That's right. So we'll see you on the next episode, guys.
Okay, thanks. And thanks so much for helping us out and for getting us here. And let's keep going. Thanks. Okay, bye.